Hey everybody! So I want to start off by saying that originally I had some vintage 1997 Burger King wristwatches that they gave out as a promo for the Lost World Jurassic Park. But in searching around this room, I couldn't find them. I checked the closet, I checked my desk, and what have you. I am praying and hoping I didn't just throw them out thinking I wasn't going to need them, because I was saving them for this special occasion. But if I do find them in the future, I will bring them out and show them during the Jurassic World vids, if I find them. But that's okay, because I still have with me a vintage popcorn bucket that's got the raptors on them. There's another one with the T-Rex popping out, but at least I have this one. And speaking of which, I don't know if you can see this effect very well, but ooh, 3D T-Rex on the VHS cover! Oh, the T-Rex in their face in 3D! Oh, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. With that said, welcome back to Jurassic June. After the success of Jurassic Park, everyone expected a sequel to happen. But there were two things standing in their way. One was that the original author of the first book, Michael Crichton, never really had done a sequel before, and he was pressured by fans to do so, even after the first Jurassic Park novel was released. Second, Steven Spielberg wanted to do a sequel, but he felt the option fell on Michael Crichton, given the novel was his baby and wanted to see whatever he wanted to do was up to him. Though if Spielberg had his way, he wanted the sequel to focus more on the canister of dino embryos that Nedry lost in the first movie. While that didn't happen, there was a video game made around it through Telltale Games, which I highly recommend checking out if you can find it. In my opinion, it's the closest thing we'll have to a true Jurassic Park sequel, even if it is a couple of decades too late. Bottom line, Michael Crichton wanted to go in a different direction, even if the first Jurassic Park novel was sequel-proof to the bone. Spoiler alert, the island gets bombed, John Hammond dies, Ian Malcolm dies, and that was it. Instead, Crichton decided to introduce a second island and bring Ian Malcolm back from the dead, feeling the story needed a more ironic commentator throughout. The book was published, and Spielberg announced he returned to the director's chair after taking some time off. Keep in mind, this guy directed 2 movies back-to-back for 1983, and that took a lot of energy out of him. So it was bold of Steven Spielberg to return, even if this decision was kind of last minute. I will never forget the experience of seeing this movie when it was first released. The hype was big. There were toys, so much press coverage, including a cover article that was done for Disney Adventures, and not to mention Burger King's big promo where you could actually get one of the wristwatches if you bought a Whopper. I thought the collectible cups from McDonald's were cooler in my opinion. Anyway, I was about 6 when Lost World debuted, and my family decided to check it out Memorial Day weekend at the Tri-Town Drive-In, which sadly doesn't exist anymore. No matter how good or bad the movie was, I never forgot seeing it at Tri-Town. There's just something special about seeing a summer blockbuster under the stars. That night, I got lucky. Lost World was placed on a double bill with Warriors of Virtue, a movie I'm certain nobody cares about. But I felt lucky enough to stay awake and actually see the Lost World Jurassic Park. I enjoyed it, and we went home. I slept well, dreaming about all the moments I enjoyed the most out of that movie. Especially the 3 T-Rexes. Years later, I would eventually get both movies on DVD and make it a summer tradition to watch both movies to kick off my summer vacation. When school was out, I'd watch Jurassic Park immediately the day after. However, I would watch Lost World on the morning of Memorial Day. The reason why is weird to describe. Lost World debuted on Memorial Day weekend, but later I would find we get a lot of TV play around this time. Granted, its first network debut was on the Fox network on November 1st, 1998, but I would be surprised to see it pop up on some stations around Memorial Day weekend later on. So, it was just an observation that led to a bizarre tradition I ended up having. Also, gotta love how the Fox network really hyped up Lost World's TV debut. Ooh, new footage added back in. Can't say I haven't heard of that gimmick before. But you gotta love how the promos were hyping up saying, this is a version of the movie you must see.
See it. A whole new way. The Lost World, with new scenes added, Sunday, November 1st on Fox.
'Tis a shame it just amounts to only 2 scenes that adds a little bit of character depth to the antagonists, and none of the rumored deleted scenes we keep hearing about. By the by, you can also see these snippets on any bonus feature release of this movie, albeit DVD, Blu-ray, or 4K. Over the years and getting more acquainted with the internet, I would be surprised to see how diverse this entry is to many. One year, I would hear it's despised, but then later down the road, everyone would seem to be kind of okay with this one. Maybe it's just me, but I feel this really depends on what you're expecting from this movie. If it's an action flick with dinosaurs, you're going to get exactly that. But as a sequel to Jurassic Park, it falls so short of itself. The plot involves the introduction of a secondary island, Isla Sonar, dubbed Site B, for hosting and creating the dinosaurs on the park, located on Isla Nublar. Hammond's company Engine makes Hammond's nephew Peter Ludlow the new CEO, as they are tired of the lawsuits they're getting hit with.
Family of Donald Gennaro, $36.5 million. Family of John Arnold, $23 million. Family of Robert Muldoon, $12.6 million.
A recent incident involving a little girl getting attacked by a group of Compsognathus is the final straw as Peter decides to capture the dinosaurs and put them in a zoo at San Diego. John Hammond believes the dinosaurs are better off as they are and seeks to persuade a non-interference policy by documenting the dinosaurs instead. Ian Malcolm is reluctant at first, but changes his mind when he discovers his girlfriend is already on Site B and he seeks to get her out. Plans change when Peter's crew arrive, and they try to prevent them from hauling away what they captured for exploit and profit. There are 2 things that I admit don't quite work for me. The environmental message presented here is not well communicated. Hammond seeks to keep the dinosaurs alone, but his nephew seeks to salvage the company from bankruptcy by using them for some form of revenue. I guess I could be okay with the zoo idea, that is, if Peter's crew wasn't so rash on their capturing methods.
Oh, everything's cruel according to you. Everything is cruel, so excuse me if I'm cruel.
And then you have the crew Ian is with. I respect their decision to let the creatures be, but even there are times when they make some dumb choices. It's one thing to document the dinosaurs, but one of them gets too close to a baby stegosaurus and nearly gets crushed by the parents. Also, gotta love how they free the dinos after they are captured and cause wreckage to Peter's camp. I admit, it's a fun scene, but even some of that damage causes some problems later on.
Our communication equipment's been destroyed. And if your radio and satellite phone were in those trailers that went over the cliff...
They were.
Then we're stuck here, ladies and gentlemen.
I guess you could argue they were trying to make both sides know better than the other to avoid them seeing biased or one-sided, but it's tough to root for either group when they continue making dumb choices. Not to the point of pure stupidity or pure frustration, but some of the things they do make me question a lot of the reason behind it. The second thing that bugs me are the characters. Let's face it, they are very average. Jeff Goldblum's Ian Malcolm is best when he's a secondary character, but for some reason, it feels like they're trying to turn him into some kind of action hero. Yeah, he's got the quips, placed in dangerous situations, and even tries to look like one by dressing all in black. And yeah, he looked like that in the first movie, but it was because he had this rock star don't care attitude that worked towards his character. He Here, it feels like Bruce Willis was written for the role more so than Jeff Goldblum. Now, I don't hate Ian's presence completely. There are some elements I do appreciate. Some of the one-liners are kind of funny at times, and even I admit, they still get a laugh from me.
How many Sarahs do you think are on this island? Sarah!
Sarah has a pretty good...
It's so important to your future that you not finish that sentence.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, that's how it always starts. But then later there's running and screaming.
But when he's in full commentating mode, it doesn't land. I do like how he's trying to be a single father compared to the last movie when he was on a divorce spree.
Yeah, I'm always on the lookout for a future ex-Mrs. Malcolm.
And you do get a sense of that with his latest daughter, played by Vanessa Lee Chester.
Well, what are you talking about? It's Karen. You've known her for 10 years.
She doesn't even have Sega. She's such a troglodyte.
Okay, the fact they got Janie from Harriet the Spy to be in this movie makes that already awesome in my books. And yeah, they carry over the whole storyline in the novel where she stows away, but much like in the first movie, they avoid giving her this kid in distress trope, so I'll give points for that. Julianne Moore as Ian's girlfriend, Dr. Sarah Harding, walks that fine line between trying to do good, but some of her choices kind of bother me. For positives, I do enjoy Julianne's chemistry with Goldblum as she appears more adventurous than he is. This is someone who appears to enjoy taking more risks, even if some of those do get her in pure trouble. Yet some of them I can reason with, like Sarah trying to heal the broken leg of a baby T-Rex. I can let a little of that slide considering she's trying to help an infant animal. But then later on, she keeps her jacket on, which was stained by the baby T-Rex's blood during surgery. Like, sure, no way the parents are gonna follow you around while you wear that.
Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs!
SpaghettiOs!
The other two crew members, I don't quite care for. Not because one of them is played by Vince Vaughn, but just because they don't do much for me. Even if they try to give some additional backstory, it's not enough to balance things out. Even Peter Ludlow is kind of a lame antagonist. I can understand why he would want to use the dinosaurs from a business standpoint, given the tons of lawsuits InGen got hit with. But isn't there a more reasonable way to handle the dinosaurs? I guess you can say hiring an inexpensive crew certainly runs in the Hammond family. Good idea, but lousy execution. Near the end of the movie, I kind of expect him to have some kind of turnaround when he realizes his errors. But nope, this guy is a pure bastard that deserves to be munched on.
Idiot, the adult! Shoot the adult! I want the baby back alive!
Evil! Evil! Impolite and evil!
Anyway, those are the things that still annoy me the most about this movie. But if that's the case, how come I still enjoy it?
The Lost World will continue in a moment on Fox.
We came in search of dinosaurs, but we bit off more than we could chew.
The Lost World Jurassic Park.
We were tracking raptors in our ground tracker when our searchlights discovered a giant stegosaurus. Pegged the steg with the trank cannon. Then we're stranded. That's when it all went bad. Look out! The stego broke free. A giant ramhead crashed the tracker. Dino strike!
Something has survived. Will you? The Lost World Jurassic Park. You can look for the mark of Jurassic Park. Figures and vehicles each sold separately.
Tell me your name.
Richard.
We're gonna take care of you, Richard.
I've got to run away. I've got to get away from the pain you drive into the heart of me. Once I ran to you. Now I run from you. This tainted love you've given, I give you all I'm going to give you. Take my tears and that's not it.
He's crashing!
Turtles! Oh, you love.
Don't touch me, baby.
Levi's wide leg jeans is wide open.
Frank! We gotta get out of here!
Nice watch.
Now at Burger King, the Lost World Jurassic Park watches. Collect all 4, each just $1.99 when you buy any value meal.
Is that a Stegosaurus? I don't think so.
The Lost World now returns on Fox.
Well, I almost want to argue that part of that is a good bulk of this movie leans more towards guilty pleasure territory, but even I admit there are some things in this flick that do make it worth checking out at most. Pete Postlethwaite is a big game hunter named Roland Tembo, who is just at the back of T-Rex. He even has his own hunting partner, AJ, played by Harvey Jason. And yes, I am aware that Harvey is donning makeup and an accent to portray this character. All I can say is that I was not aware of this, and even that kind of slipped by the many, many times I've seen this movie and not even realize it. Thank you, Internet! Though I will say, in all fairness, I don't approve or appreciate this method of racial characterization in acting. And I know many have theorized in trying to simmer down the elephant in the room that AJ is possibly biracial. I'm still a bit more miffed over the fact that somebody back in the 1990s sat back and thought, if they can do it in Short Circuit 1 and 2, then most certainly we can do it in this movie too! Regardless, if the movie was just these two on the island, I would totally watch it. I especially like the small character arc Roland is given when he's hellbent on getting a T-Rex for his next trophy. Something which was fleshed out more in a deleted scene that I wish they kept in. Supposedly it was cut because Spielberg didn't think the Kenya sets looked authentic, while another source claims it was cut for pacing issues. We see Roland is bored with his life and seeking any kind of action, even if it means a hand-to-hand combat with some jerk getting a little too handsy with a waitress.
You broke that man's jaw for no other reason than your own boredom.
This scene softens his character up a little, showing he's not really that bad. So when he nabs a T-Rex but discovers his close friend AJ got munched on by raptors, this changes his mindset completely.
I believe I've spent enough time in the company of death.
I feel Roland's final line gets overlooked. The hunter starts to realize there are more important things in life than just collecting trophies. It's pretty deep and kinda sticks with me. I also attribute this to Pete Postlethwaite's performance. Even if the character is kinda simple, Postlethwaite is the kind of actor who knows how to liven things up. I do also like how in the second half, both teams have their camps destroyed for various reasons, and they try to work together to get off Isla Sorna. I'll provide some brownie points for that. It's not often you see rival teams actually place ideologies and egos aside, just so they could find a way to escape. And you gotta love how ILM and Stan Winston return to provide the special effects. True, this one relies a lot on CGI as it serves for the ultimate test in how far digital effects can go. But we still get some practical effects and animatronics that are impressive. The raptor attack at the engine compound is probably the one that sticks out in my mind the most. It would be difficult to have someone in a suit perform some of these stunts, so where the limits are, the digital effect can fill in. Even if I am a practical effects junkie, when CGI is required, I will allow it, as there are some things that even animatronic can't do so well. Just as long as the effect is pulled off fine, I'm okay with it. While I do admit, the first movie has a lot more technical merit to it, presenting the wonder factor of dinosaurs, this one still manages to present that technical aspect too of what they can do with the technology at the time. Even though it's a little more obvious what is practical and what's CG, you could see that they were trying to do much more than what they could do with the first movie. Even if they decide to show more carnage and less ooh, ah, ee. On the other hand, Lost World is an action-adventure type movie, and certainly the action scenes are where this shines the most more in. As a thinking movie, The Lost World Jurassic Park doesn't work. But as a summer blockbuster, it's serviceable and has its moments.
There's the double trailers hanging off the cliff and the T-Rex parents pushing it, the dinosaur capture, which even includes a nod to Valley of Guanji, the compies attacking one of the crew members, the T-Rex chasing everyone at the camp, the raptors attacking Ian's group at the engine base. Each one is well staged and is purely nail-biting. And you gotta love John Williams' score that increases the intensity. While Williams is able to capture the splendor and wow factor of the first movie, here he goes for a musical score that is bombastic and dramatic. Even in the lesser Spielberg's fare like 1941 or Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, I feel John Williams is able to craft a unique musical score that's still worth listening to. Out of all the Jurassic Park sequels, I tend to remember this one for the action. Sure, there are some dumb moments like Kelly using gymnastics against one of the raptors, but that's just a quick minute and then it's over. Now, if it was a whole sequence, that would be an entirely different matter. It's clear Steven Spielberg just wanted to make a straight-up thrill ride, even going as far to use the 1925 adaptation of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's The Lost World as a reference. In that movie, a group of explorers go to an island full of dinosaurs and try to bring back one to civilization. Even Michael Crichton admits to using the title of Doyle's novel as a deliberate homage. Both the book and the Spielberg adaptation are clearly taking more liberties from a classic piece of pulp fiction. The ending itself is pure proof. Originally, Ian and his group would get off the island, but the helicopter they're in gets attacked by a group of pterodons. However, Steven Spielberg and the scriptwriter David Coep toyed with the idea of what if one of the dinosaurs went on a rampage in the urban city. It was thought this would be more suited for the third movie, with even fears of seeing it come off too much like a Godzilla movie. But if Steven Spielberg was not going to make Jurassic Park 3, then why not go out in a big way?
What I do love is how all the trailers and teasers and TV spots never presented a single frame of this ending. So for audiences back in 1997, it was a total surprise for them. When we had this coda where a T-Rex gets loose in San Diego, we were in for the ride of our lives. So, granted, you probably could do a whole movie on this, but those final 15 or 20 minutes seeing this thing cause a lot of downtown carnage was just enough for me.
We get to see this thing rampage downtown and partake in some gleeful destruction. This whole sequence is packed with small in-jokes and Easter eggs, even right down to a bunch of Japanese tourists yelling, "I left Japan to get away from this." Also, very rare to have the writer of your movie get devoured by its own creation. That's funnier in hindsight knowing it's David Coep getting munched on. To some, it might be a little too in-jokey, like it's a deleted scene from Last Action Hero. Even right down to posters made for fake movies in a blockbuster video that gets destroyed. Arnold Schwarzenegger in King Lear. What appears to be a modernized take of Jack and the Beanstalk, done in the style of Hook, even complete with Robin Williams on the cover, and Tom Hanks in a surfing movie. But you gotta love the Creature from the Black Lagoon poster in the back. For my money alone, this entire ending redeems the movie for me. It probably could have been a bit better if they had the Roland character return to help, but it's still a fun sequence I look back in nostalgia and still enjoy the hell out of it. I guess you can say I'm a dead sucker for Monster on the Rampage style movies and endings, just as long as they're done well.
But let's get real here. Even if The Lost World Jurassic Park was a big hit at the time, being the second highest grossing movie of 1997, just under Titanic, as a sequel, it doesn't quite fully work.
The arguments it's trying to provide on whether to interfere with nature or leave things alone don't quite work, and it also suffers from characters that feel undercooked in the development department. As an action movie, it totally works. Just ignore the fact you're watching a Jurassic Park sequel, and it's a pure blast. Seriously, watch this movie on the biggest screen with the best audio system you have, and you're in for an experience. While Jurassic Park is easily the better movie, The Lost World Jurassic Park sacrifices intelligence for thrills. While that's not a bad thing, I do wish those environmental themes of human interference were explored better so it didn't come off uneven. But when the movie is entertaining enough, I can't ignore what good it's got plugging into it. Not the best sequel, certainly flawed, but for me, it's entertaining at best. Final verdict? seek out the longer TV cut, invite some friends over, and have a sweet BBQ while watching this one.
Because believe me, nothing's quite better than having friends nearby just to see how they're going to react to certain things. Well, now that I finally confessed one of my biggest guilty pleasures out of the way, next time we increase the pain. Again. Cut.
Go see Lost World.
But, was it any good?
Mike, it made $200 kajillion. Just go. We'll be right back.
Jeez.
Are you still here? Go see Lost World, Mike.
Now?
Yeah.
I don't want to. Well,
beat it. It's the law.
Okay.
On this remote island, they have come to rescue their son.
Ben!
What was that?
Now they will discover
Get on the plane!
it will take all their courage
We're not leaving without our son.
just to survive. Jurassic Park 3.